I'm Courtney Fallon, and welcome to The Game Plan on Reach TV, your insider guide to this week's key NFL action. In The Game Plan, I tap into the great Believe Podcast Network to bring you the most important information you need to know for this week's big NFL games. In week 9, we started to see the difference between the haves and the have-nots. Some divisions are runaways and others are looking to be a fight to the end. To go over the state of the NFL, I am joined by the great Lofa Tatupu from the Take 12 podcast, longtime linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks and the NFL. Lofa, how are you doing? Week 10 has arrived. Are you ready to play some 3 and out?
I am. Thank you for having me.
All right, so the AFC North has 4 teams that are over 500 going into Week 10. Which teams are true playoff threats? Pretenders, contenders, can we kind of go through the list? Steelers, Browns, Bengals, Ravens.
I'm going to start at the top with the Ravens. And they put everybody on notice with that last win against my Hawks. It was a tough game to watch, 7-2, top of the division. And when Lamar's playing like that, I don't think anybody can beat the Ravens but the Ravens. Next, I go Bengals. They got Joe Burrow in that offense. The defense is making plays when they need to. Then I'm going to go with the Steelers, not the Browns.
Okay, all right.
It's simply because of Mike Tomlin. 16 seasons of non-losing record. Yeah, no one talks about that. He really holds it together. I mean, it's been incredible to see what he's done over his career. Unfortunately, the Browns are out. It's purely because of the injuries. Shout out to PJ Walker for what he's done when he does go in, but I don't know if they have enough down the stretch, firepower.
There you have it. Second down. Every team in the AFC East lost last week. Is the division overrated? And the second part of this question, Bill Belichick is pretty much on the hot seat and has been for this entire season, 2-6. How much leeway are you allowed to give Bill, given everyone in New England wants to move on from the do your job regime?
Yeah, no, rightfully so, because you are what your record says, and I do believe this is a little overrated. But you start with the Dolphins. The Dolphins 6-3, and the record looks great, but they don't have any quality wins. No team over 500. Until I see a meaningful win, they're pretenders right now. Mm-hmm. You move to second place in the Bills, 5-4, and I think because of Josh Allen and that offense, they have a chance. The defense has been making plays when they need to. But this team will only go as far as Josh Allen can take them because he doesn't have a reliable run game. So I'm going to say that is the one team I see in this division as a contender. You go to the Jets, they don't have a quarterback. Poor Zach Wilson, I feel for him. He looks off, even on his timing throws. You got Breece Hall. Why don't you just hand the ball to Breece Hall?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I mean, I got him in fantasy. I could use those points. And then you go Patriots. 2-7, that's just too far of a hole to climb out of. So I think this season is kind of lost.
Third down. The Niners are on a 3-game losing streak and have a tough Jags team coming up. Are the Niners pretenders? But really more what I want to ask you, take this away. Can the Seahawks win the division? They're slowly creeping up in that NFC West. Lofa Tatupu, tell me from the Take 12 podcast. Sell me on the Seahawks.
The Seahawks can absolutely win this division because defense wins championships, and we do have that. We lost Chenna Nwosu, and in steps Boye Mafe, a second-year player that didn't get much love last year. He's got 6 straight games with a sack that tied Michael Sinclair's franchise record. Bobby Wagner back, the Blue holding it all together over there. Jordan Brooks is playing out of his mind, so I like what we're doing. We do need to get the run game going. Now let's turn our attention to the Niners. Injuries have plagued them, and then throwing, unlikely attempts or interceptions, untimely interceptions for the defense. And then, Deebo Samuel out, but good news for them, he is back. They are not pretenders. Their window is shrinking, I will say that much. If they don't get the Super Bowl this year or on that rookie contract with Purdy's, they're in trouble, and, the whole thing will be blown up.
You got it. From his words to your ears, Lofa Tatupu, thank you for doing 3 and Out with us on The Game Plan. We hope to speak with you soon.
Anytime. I had so much fun. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Thank you so much. All right, up next, I'm breaking down my 3 key games that you need to know for Week 10. Stay right there. Each week, I like to focus on 3 key games that you need to know about. And entering week 10, I've circled these matchups that we need to cover. My key games this week all focus on division leaders. And first up, let's talk about the 49ers limping into Jacksonville to face the hottest team in the NFL, the Jags. The 49ers are on a 3-game slide, though they did have a bye week in week 9. And they did pick up perennial third-year pass rusher Chase Young. Swapped out his Washington burgundy for Scarlet Niners red. They have watched the Seahawks, in the meantime, over that bye week, close the gap in the NFC West and desperately need a win this week. Brock Purdy's numbers away from the Bay have been dismal, with only 4 touchdowns on the road to go with 3 interceptions. To find out what the Niners must do to snap their slide, let's hear from Anthony Robertson from the 49ers Cutback Podcast. Anthony, anything in particular for San Fran to hone in on?
Thanks, Courtney. The San Francisco 49ers are coming out of a bye week, and waiting for them is the Jacksonville Jaguars sitting at 6-2. The 49ers are looking to get back to their winning ways, and one of the ways you do it is add all-pro wide receiver Deebo Samuel back to the fold. Deebo Samuel returning after a shoulder injury should bolster this 49ers offense that's looking to rebound after averaging just 17 points per game during their losing streak. The San Francisco 49ers defense was bolstered big time when they went out and they got Chase Young at the trade deadline. Chase Young will now be rushing opposite of Nick Bosa. So the 49ers are going to be looking to get after the quarterback and looking to make big plays on offense, with Christian McCaffrey looking to get his 18th consecutive game with a touchdown. Thanks for checking this out. Come by 49ers Cutback on YouTube or listen on all audio platforms. Back to you, Courtney.
Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate the insight. So Deebo Samuel returns to bolster the Niners' attack. That is great news for Brock Purdy and the offense. And Chase Young joins that dangerous D-line. Listen, side note, I love that Chase Young pickup more than the Montez Sweat trade to Chicago. And if he is a fit in San Francisco, he could be a mainstay on that line for years to come. No team in the NFL is riding higher than the Jaguars, who will be looking to expand their win streak to 6 at home against the Niners in Week 10. But according to our friends in Vegas, they're 3-point home underdogs. To find out if Trevor Lawrence and the Jags can make it 6 straight, let's hear from Justin Dunk and Clay Harbor from the Believe in Jaguars podcast. Guys, what's the game plan for Jacksonville?
Thanks, Courtney. The 5-3 49ers travel all the way across the country to Duval County to take on the 6-2 Jaguars. Might be the game of the week, Clay, so set us up for it.
I mean, to me, this is a game the Jaguars could, and they are underdogs at home, but I think they should win. The 49ers have lost their last 3 games, and they haven't been pretty. But this is about the Jacksonville Jaguars coming off of a bye week, coming off of a big win at Pittsburgh with the terrible towels, the hope defense. The Jaguars are showing why they are a team that is for real. They're 6-2 and they're still not getting respect. To me, this game is about the Jacksonville Jaguars and how they're going to show the rest of the league that they're for real and beat one of the NFC frontrunners for the Super Bowl.
My man Clay always heads the goods. Now you're all ready for Niners Jags. Back to you, Courtney.
Thanks, guys. Awesome. So they're announcing to the league that the Jags are for real this weekend, and they will prove it. I love it. But let's get to my thoughts on this game. Here is the deal. The Jaguars' defense is surrendering 260 passing yards per game. That's good for 30th in the NFL. Brock Purdy will be as close to 100% as he's been since that Week 7 concussion. And the last time the Jags beat the Niners was 18 years ago. Doesn't happen here. San Fran gets the win. All right, let's get to my second key game of the week in Week 10. It brings us out to LA as the Chargers host the Detroit Lions. A well-rested Lions team is in a perfect position in their division at 6-2. To find out what the Lions need to do to extend their lead in the NFC North, let's chat with Jack Kavanaugh and Glover Quinn from the Believe in Lions podcast. Guys, what do you got for me?
Thanks, Courtney. Glover, the Lions coming off a bye week 6-2 and ready to face the Los Angeles Chargers. What are you expecting in this one?
You know, I'm expecting the Lions to come out off the bye week, high energy, try to get more pressure on Justin Herbert than Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa was getting on Zach Wilson last night.
And that's one of the keys to this matchup is pressuring Justin Herbert, because if they get up, then the defense gets to pin its ears back and rush Jared Goff. If they get down, then it's kind of hard for the Chargers to come back.
I think the Lions get this, and I think they can smother this offense and hold those guys down. I think defensively, they can score on the Chargers if they can get some pass blocking. Getting some of those O-linemen back will give them that help.
This is going to be a big game for the Lions. Head to 7-2. Back to you, Courtney.
Okay, so it's all about getting to Justin Herbert early and often this weekend. But listen, the Lions' pass rush has been insanely inconsistent. Aiden Hutchinson hasn't had a sack in more than a month. He is the focal point of this defense, so I'm putting it on him to get that started. The LA Chargers have been a team of 2-game streaks all season. They lose 2 and then they win 2, only to lose 2 again. You get the pattern. They now sit at 4-4 after another 2-game win streak. To find out if they can break this cycle and win a third one in a row, let's hear from Matt Money Smith and former Charger Lorenzo Neal from the Believe in Chargers podcast. Guys, what is the game plan for the Chargers?
Thank you, Courtney. Well, Lorenzo, we got ourselves a winning streak, 2 in a row, just like we had after that 0-2 start. But I think one thing that certainly stands out here as the Chargers get ready to play the Lions is how dominant this defense has been. This is now 10 straight quarters where this defense has certainly raised its hand as being a viable path for them to follow into the postseason.
No question, Matt. All along, everyone's been talking about this defense. The last 4 or 5 weeks, even when you think about the Dallas Cowboys, they played well enough to win. So yes, without a doubt, the defense have been very, very formidable.
Yeah, and just to shout out a particular name, Alohi Gilman. You cannot understate his return.
Gilman has, getting everyone dialed up and playing very hard and very physical and just being consistent. That's the good thing, man.
No doubt. And as we wrap it up, get that run game right. We know Justin Herbert's going to show up. Get that run game right. Let's see this defense continue. And it should lead to a third consecutive win for these Chargers, Courtney.
Let's get to my thoughts on this game. I am such a fan of this Lions team. Their offense, their will to win is so impressive, and they can go on the road and get it done. Plus, they've got the Jared Goff home field advantage for this game. Remember, Jared Goff played his college football for Cal. He was also on the Rams. So there's tons of Lions fans, and they will travel well for this game. Expect them to be all over SoFi Stadium. This will be an easy win for Detroit. My final key game of Week 10 is an AFC North battle as the Browns travel to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The AFC North is the deepest division in the NFL with every team above 500 right now. The Ravens, they sit atop the division though with a 7-2 record, second overall in the AFC. The Browns have surprised the league so far by securing a 5-3 record going into Week 10. Cleveland is led by one of the best defenses in the NFL, which is allowing a measly 234 yards per game. To find out what the Browns need to do to walk away with a win in Baltimore, let's hear from former Brown Eric Metcalf and Max Loeb from the Dog Check podcast. Guys, what do you got for me?
Thanks, Courtney. Eric, Browns-Ravens this Sunday. I don't know if it gets bigger than this. This is probably one of the biggest games of the year for the Browns, if not the biggest. What do you think?
It's a big one. It's a big one for many reasons. You know, we're talking about division lead. We're talking about confidence. We're talking about just sending messages around the AFC for both teams. We have two of the powerhouse defenses in this league right now playing against each other. We feel like Deshaun's arm is healthy and he's trending up. And so with that in mind, I feel like our offense will be better, right? And so you have these big Titan defenses. How do these offenses move the ball and score points on them? That's what I'm looking forward to see. Can the Browns maintain or sustain drives and score points?
Exactly, and the one difference this time around, the Browns will have Deshaun Watson playing quarterback. Without further ado, we'll take it back to you in the studio, Courtney. Thanks, guys.
No, I couldn't agree more. This has defensive battle written all over it, but the Browns must keep Lamar Jackson off the field. That's breezy with the NFL's best-ranked defense through 9 weeks. It's Myles Garrett or nothing. The Ravens have been one of the hottest teams in the NFL and are sporting a 5-game win streak going into Week 10. To find out what Baltimore needs to do to stay on top of the NFL's most competitive division, the AFC North, let's hear from Daniel Wilcox and Kari Thompson from the Believe in Ravens podcast. Guys, lay it on me. What's the game plan for Baltimore?
Thanks a lot, Courtney. No one can stop the Baltimore Ravens right now. That's 4 wins in a row, tied for the second best record in the NFL right now, and they found a new way to win. It wasn't just about Lamar Jackson and that passing attack. The 3-headed monster they've got going at running back right now is incredible.
Keaton Mitchell, man, I love to see this kid getting off. He was absolutely hot this week against the Seahawks. Ran the ball exceptionally well, put up big numbers. This was his coming out party. Welcome to the NFL, Keaton Mitchell.
And then on the other side of the ball, look, man, the Baltimore Ravens quite possibly might be the best defense in the league, and they get the Cleveland Browns for round 2. Deshaun Watson will play this time. They didn't get him that last time. What are we looking for, Mr. Wilcox?
It's going to be both sides of the ball. Cleveland's defense is hot right now. They're playing exceptionally well, and the Ravens' defense right now is number 1 in the league. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. You better believe it, Kyrie.
Back to you, Courtney.
Boom. Okay, you've been warned. Watch out for Keaton Mitchell and the Ravens' ground attack. Great minds, they think alike. I love Keaton Mitchell. The Ravens are my dark horse favorite to win the AFC right now. They're sitting at the 2nd seed. How about Lamar Jackson MVP odds? Those are climbing up the charts. I think the Ravens take this one. It will be a defensive battle, but they will beat the Browns on Sunday. Okay, those are my key games for Week 10. Next up is everything you need to know to win your fantasy football matchup. Okay, it is that time of the show to play Pick 6 on the game plan. And joining me this week to pick his Week 10 lineup is Jeff Kavanaugh from the Believe in Cowboys podcast. Jeff, welcome to the show. And of course, you had to brag about your Texas Rangers. I do like that towel.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I appreciate your congratulations. My celebration hurt poor Adrian Beltre. He lost a hand. But yeah, our Rangies, our cute little Rangies are world champs.
I love it. I love it. You're going to give me like your top 6 fantasy lineup, and that's going to be my chicken soup for my soul for Week 10 of the NFL.
Telling the future is hard, so I refuse to be held accountable for any of my picks, but I will make them with extreme confidence.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right. Number 1, Jared Goff is your quarterback pick of the week. Obviously, this is a hot game. The Lions are going to place the Chargers. I'm curious as to why you picked Jared Goff, because he has an average over 20 fantasy points. I mean, really, over 3 times over his career.
Because I think you have to pick the game, situation, and the opponent. And in this case, the opponent is the Chargers, and they are terrible at defending the pass, right? So I just think it sets up that, 1, the Chargers do have a terrible pass defense, and they have a good offense, which means both teams, in theory, will keep scoring, and you're going to have a lot of opportunities to throw the ball against a defense that ain't real good at stopping.
Listen, I'm all in on Jared Goff for this week at quarterback. For running back, you got Saquon Barkley, had another solid game. He signed that 1-year deal before the year, but he had 90 yards rushing, and then he had a couple catches, 3 catches, 23 yards. He's going to be taking the majority of the workload for this Giants team.
Yeah, I think that the Giants are going to be in deep trouble. And I think that the Giants, with the great undrafted free agent Tommy DeVito at quarterback, are probably not going to want to throw the ball a lot. I think they want to hand it to him every time. So Saquon will have 150 carries, and that should translate into some yards and maybe a touchdown, and he'll catch 3 or 4 balls.
All right. Another safe bet. I like this, quarterback wide receiver. If Amon-Ra St. Brown is your guy, then,
I look at Chargers-Lions as a team, as a game that's going to have 2 good offenses. And in this game, in theory, as the score keeps going up and up and up, it just seems like a day where Amon-Ra St. Brown could very easily end up with 9 or 10 catches for $150 and a touchdown, and we're living large.
All right, on that note, tight end Sam Laporta. I mean, guess what? He came out of tight end U. That is Iowa University. Why is he the best target for red zone? I mean, even if they're going to be dishing Amon-Ra St. Brown 11 times, you got to think, where is Sam Laporta going to be maximized in this game?
Because what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the Chargers are really bad at defending the pass. And it's a big key that you want it to be a really bad pass defense, but an offense that does score points. I want every weapon that is heavily targeted that is on the Detroit Lions. Give me the quarterback, give me the number 1 wide receiver, and give me the tight end.
And I love it. It's just like I asked you for chicken soup for the soul, and you just gave me a big soup of Ford Field in a bowl. All right, let's move on to your defense. You got the Dallas Cowboys. Why did you pick them this week?
So the Cowboys just lost a game that they had a chance at the end against a divisional opponent, and the Cowboys have really big goals this year. They're a top 5 defense, and the Giants are going to be starting Tommy DeVito. The Cowboys are really good at turning the opposing offense over. The Cowboys are going to be very angry. The Giants are going to get thumped.
Okay.
That's why I picked the Cowboys defense.
Fortunately, in January, we just get to that. We get to that moment in time where it's almost about that time where we say, I'm so sorry. It's back to the draft for those Dallas Cowboys. All right, your waiver wire pick, Quentin Johnston. Tell me about him. Where you got him for your pickup?
So Quentin Johnston was a first-round draft pick, and he went to a Chargers team and couldn't really break into the lineup. Mike Williams got hurt. Quentin Johnston became the number 3 wide receiver. Now Joshua Palmer is hitting the IR, and Quentin Johnston is the number 2 wide receiver, whether you earned it or not. And when you're the number 2 wide receiver, he played 83% of the snaps last week, and you're going to go to a team that loves to throw the ball around, and you're going to play almost all of the offensive snaps. That's a lot of opportunity for a guy that, when he gets it in his hands, is good after the catch. That is a downfield player.
All right, we know what games that you're watching this weekend, certainly. Jeff, thank you so much for your time. And I appreciate it, and we'll have you on again soon.
Thank you. Go Rangers.
That's all the time we have today on The Game Plan. Go check out the Believe Podcast Network for more in-depth analysis on every team in the league. And don't forget, as always, you can catch every NFL game live on Reach TV all season long. See you next week.